guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel on this Saturday morning, afternoon or evening across the world, maybe across the world. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is inspired by the Adult with Autism channel, also known as Paul, and during his Dark Side of Autism video upload from today, he mentioned about how this autistic runner who he'd been communicating with had put up a post about living openly with autism, which got my intrigue and interest quite quick into the video. As an autistic woman, a late diagnosed autistic woman, I thought this video title would be important and a topic that should bring light to the public. Someone like myself who has learnt to mask for quite some time and identifies to a point we both do mask due to the societal fear and misunderstanding of autism within society. As an autistic woman, I feel this is important because over the years since my diagnosis, I've learned to be more open with my autism. I've learned to be more accepting of it. I've learned to be more understanding of it. I've learned to accept it as part of my DNA. It is part of who I am and my core purpose in my heart. I know that I'm autistic and I've learned to kind of deal with that. And yes, it took years to practice that and accept it and understand that I am neurodiversely different. And that's where me and Paul obviously do agree on that, because we are neurodiversely different. Him being a man with autism, me being a lady with autism. You know, we both kind of have the similar traits and similar behaviours in a way. Another thing that he mentioned was that people with autism don't really get accepted. I want to touch on this because this is something that I do agree with Paul, because we don't really tend to get accepted. We tend to be judged or mimicked or, you know, called weird or odd or different. And, you know, again, it's due to societal fears, judgments, things that are put out on the media about autism. Oh, it's, you know, big, bad, and it's not. Like, each autistic person is different. You know, I'm very different to Paul. He's very much about wearing the mask all the time, and I'm not. I'm very much, I drop my mask for a lot of situations, but there is situations where that mask does get put back on because I am anxious or afraid of telling people about my autism in case they backlash me or they don't understand why I don't make eye contact with people, or I may struggle socially, or I may not want to be out in a crowded room because of the sensory stimuli and the overstimulation within the environment. And he also talks about the mask, the autistic masking. This is so important. Autistic masking happens because we are, again, judged, we're criticised, we're not often understood. Autism is sometimes seen as a temper tantrum, or it is seen as that we can't act normal. Normal doesn't exist. I'm sorry, we are not normal. We are neurodiverse. It is the way that we are born, the way that our brain wiring happens. And for me, masking is a way to self-protect myself. The same as Paul, it's kind of, I put that mask on so people don't get too close to me, or they don't try and hurt me or backstab me, or I don't get too overwhelmed with all the sensory auditory stimuli that is around me in my own apartment or outside in the community when I go outside to visit people or talk to people. You know, I do understand the autistic masking, absolutely, and I respect Paul for his opinions and choosing to keep the mask on all the time. I don't frankly blame him, to be honest with you. But for me, I do drop my mask a lot because I'm out in public a lot. I'm very socialised. I'm expected to function. I'm expected to be polite to people. I'm expected to shake hands and meet and greet people. Like Paul says, why do we have to shake hands? It irritates me. I hate shaking hands with people. It really drives me bonkers. I really hate when people go, nice to meet you, Jim, and they expect you to touch your hand, or they grab you by the arm. I'm thinking, I really don't like it. It's really awkward for me, because it's like, I don't like being touched unless you know me. So I can understand why Paul does make the comment about touching hands. It completely aggravates me no end. Again, living openly with my autism, Paul says about privacy. Again, this is a really good point, because a lot of us don't really know the boundaries to privacy. We tend to overshare a lot of information. We tend to overshare a lot about our personal lives when we probably shouldn't do, because we're potentially putting ourselves in harm's way for bad people intentions, and we may risk our personal information getting out there and it being put in the hands of criminals, etc. But again, I'm very open with myself, my identity, my details. Like, you know, I'm very local, known to my police, I'm known to my radio station, I'm known to my newspaper, I'm known to mental health professionals, I'm known to my hospital. So for me, all my public details are really out there, but I understand Paul's need for that privacy, that protection, to protect himself from being hurt and judged and mislabeled and everything else. I get that. Sometimes I crave that privacy too. When I shut my door, when I've been out, or then I come home and I'm like, shut the world out, bye bye, leave me alone, be quiet, don't disturb me, I want to be alone by myself, just block the world out. You know, I understand that totally. So that's another good point. He also raises the point about being understanding about ourselves. So for me, I've been diagnosed 10 years January, so for me it's been a long time of knowing my triggers, my sensory stimuli, my auditory stimuli, knowing the kinds of things that I like to do and what I don't like to do. So again, it's about making sure that I protect myself and protect my barriers around me to keep me safe in the context that I'm in. For Paul, I know he likes to use his dog to go out walking, and I know he likes his music. He's a very good musician, so I think that's what Paul uses to protect himself. And also Paul did say this about us as autistic people: when we do work and we give it 110% of everything that we've got, we will literally exhaust ourselves for you. We will literally keep our eyes open, we will research everything you need to know, we'll give you all the information you need to know, sometimes for our own detriment, but again, we do it because we are passionate, we care, we want to get things done to 100% of the expectation what we need to do during that work day, or for me during that training day, during that presentation time. I will make sure I research everything that I need to bring with me, or that I'm expected to talk on, or I will have questions already written down for me, so I know, okay, Gemma has bang, 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 bang to talk about. And I know that's what similar to what Paul was saying in his video. Also, I want to talk about coping strategies. Paul mentioned coping strategies briefly in the video. Coping strategies are essential for autistic people. Autistic people cannot function without coping strategies, whether that's meditation, or whether that's having a phone call with a trusted friend or family member, whether that's music, whether, for me, it's like writing poetry and doing these YouTube videos to help you guys better understand my brain just a little bit better, so you can get inside my head and learn how I function on an everyday basis. Coping strategies can also differ from each autistic person. So again, it could be fidget toys, sensory aids, it could be listening to music, it could be writing novels, it could be researching topics for videos, it could be watching the news, it could be something that you enjoy to have that personal time out to live your authentic life. Paul also said that people on the autistic spectrum aren't included or appreciated. 100% right. Let me tell you why. Because again, it comes down to misunderstanding, misinformation, and again, when we are trying to live our openly authentic autistic life, we have all the sensory stimuli, all the judgments, all the names, the labels. People just want to say, oh, what's wrong with them? Why can't they function? Oh, what's wrong with them? Why do they want to be on their own? And for me, it's, again, the world doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand me. They don't want to understand that I am neurodiversity different. And the thing is, we are different. Each autistic person is built differently. Paul is very different to me, and Paul will have things that are more severe for him than are severe for me. But again, we are the same because we are on the autistic spectrum. So again, that's how we are very similar. And he said that personal perspectives and the outcomes can be different depending on who we're speaking to. Again, that's correct, because each person that you speak to, or each person you come into contact with, may not understand your story or your experiences or something that you do every day. And for me and Paul, it's very about organisation, planning. It's about making sure we knew who we're speaking to, what time we need to be there, how long we're expected to be there, what the job is, and get it done and then leave. But a lot of people think, oh, well, you're only here to do this and get and go. Well, yeah, because we have such mental processing in our heads that we struggle to understand what more you're expecting us to do. You know, it can be very overstimulating having to constantly be in social forced eye contact situations, and if we don't particularly know you, we're not going to want to stick around. If you say, oh, why don't you come to the work meal afterwards, or why don't you come to the pub afterwards and have a couple of drinks, you know, no, because we're overstimulated, we've had enough, we've dealt with so much sensory and auditory stimuli all day long, every day, it's repetitive, that our brains need to breathe. We need to breathe and be in our own space. So what else I want to talk about is that he says about being able to not attend meetings and so often. I get that. I'm very different from Paul though. Again, I can attend a lot of meetings. There is times where I've had to just duck out of meetings or just not go at all because my brain's just like, nope, can't, too much, too noisy, no, too much, too many people, too many voices, no, 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 and I don't attend. But I'm very lucky that I have been able to attend them, because again, I am expected to be social. I have that social expectation put on me, and I do it as a way of awareness and education. Like right now, I've got quite a few meetings coming up in my local political circle, and I've been to mental health meetings, NHS meetings, psychological meetings, and I talk a lot about special educational needs and disability provision, or the lack of it, for adults and young people who are going through the autism diagnostic process. Again, but each individual person with autism will have their own executive functioning limits. I'm very highly functioning, so I can function quite successfully, but I know Paul is a lot different from me on that aspect, so I hope you've enjoyed hearing my perspective on this. I think hopefully Paul will like what I've said, but please go over to Paul's channel. I will link it down below. Subscribe to his channel, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!